Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going over the grayscale trusts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about earnings. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so you can see the markets unfortunately did sell off a little bit today. I did take a pretty thorough look at the earnings. Earnings look good, pretty much mostly good, especially with the ones that really matter, like the big companies. Not to say that the smaller ones don't matter; they all matter, but you guys got to understand in terms of like market capitalization versus GDP, the larger companies address a larger portion of the overall economy. So that's what I mean when I say this. So basically, ASML came out with some news basically saying like, oh yeah, there's because of some trade tensions or something between China and U.S. regarding semiconductors, we're not able to get the fills that we want or something like that. I mean, look, this is not really a big deal, dude. You know, companies are designed to adjust and evolve over time. So if the Biden administration, assuming that this is their fault, is not going to allow them to do it, then they'll just have to find another way to get it done. I mean, the reality is, if the Democrats want people in America to make money, they have to be willing to allow these businesses to handle their own business without interfering. So I think it's a short-term headwind. It's not going to last. Again, we have a ton of earnings this season. I'm still expecting a very bullish Q4. Okay, that has not changed. I think it's just a blip in the radar, if I'm being completely honest. And markets will eventually drive back up. I mean, again, you got to understand we're right between the start of earnings and between the elections, which is technically peak uncertainty. There is some historical data to support a pullback in the second half of October during election years, which makes sense. Do I think it's going to last? No. I think headwinds will become tailwinds much sooner than people expect. So with that being said, I'm going to get off the charts here. And again, I did make some money in futures this morning, so not too worried about the sell-off because, as you guys know, in futures, you can both long and short. It doesn't really matter what the market sentiment is. There's essentially no limitations. So the thing I want to point out here real quick about Bitcoin is we are getting very close to that golden cross. Again, this is not a Bitcoin video, but you guys can see we're literally pushing right up against that trend line. Okay, we actually got above it. Today. Now, the question as to whether it's going to break out or not, the shorter answer that I have to say to that is most likely yes, because, again, it's just the timing could not be more perfect. You got the Fed rate cuts, you got earnings, you got the elections. Q4 is very bullish for both crypto and stocks, usually bullish for stocks, but especially bullish for crypto during election years or halving years. And I mean, a lot of these things that may be considered to be headwinds now will eventually become tailwinds. And I don't know if you guys saw BlackRock's earnings call, but Larry Fink did come out and say that he believes that Bitcoin is an asset class in and of itself. Okay, that's a big deal. For Larry Fink to come out and say that, the guy who's in charge of $12 trillion in assets in the United States and around the world, that's a big deal. So very bullish outlook for Bitcoin. Again, I am expecting a breakout here at some point. Do understand that historically during the halving years when Bitcoin breaks all-time highs around the end of the year, it can happen anywhere between November to December. Okay, it could happen before November. It could take until December. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, just gonna have to be patient. All right, so let's get into the actual trusts here. Even though the markets did take a bite out of the apple this morning, and I mean that in a negative sense, of course, that's sarcasm. You can see that LTCN BCHG, regardless, are still up. But Bitcoin did have a small pullback based on the markets pulling back a little bit in stocks, but it did recover. So we're seeing some bullishness on LTC and BCHG. Again, these are oscillators to Bitcoin. So what that means is when Bitcoin goes up, anything that's related to Bitcoin, like Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, Bitcoin Gold, things like that will go up in value. Oh, quick note. Look, I don't know what all these different scammer comments are. Okay, they come out with different tokens every week, it seems. Please be careful in the comment section, okay? If anybody is claiming to be me or claiming to be this channel, just know that they're full of BS, okay? I will never contact you directly and ask you for money. I will never tell you to invest in this or that token in the comment section. You're never going to hear something like that from me, okay? It's a scam. Please be careful. Be wary when you see something like that. All right, so in terms of buy areas here, we're looking at roughly about $11.50 to $15 at support at that green zone. Once again, 25 to 27 for the target there, and then 54. Of course, we are about to get that MACD golden cross. Already got the RSI golden cross. Again, these take weeks and months to play out. When they do play out, it doesn't mean that their price is immediately going to moonshot, okay? But it is a ramp up period, okay? It happens slowly, rapidly, and then suddenly it all of a sudden explodes, like you can see back here. Slowly, rapidly, and then boom, took off to the moon, okay? All right, so maximum profit potential here, roughly about 120 to 350%. And again, LTCN, targets range 75, 100 to 135, 2 to 300, and then 510 respectively, before eventually breaking out to all-time highs, which is possible. I mean, it could happen. I don't see any reason why it couldn't happen. I mean, Larry Fink keeps talking about tokenization of assets. I don't know that I necessarily like the idea of that. But if that means that every asset is going to get big money in it, then ideally Litecoin and LTCN should go up in value over time. I do still think the 4-year cycle bull bear busts are in play. Okay, I think we're in the middle of the bull run, and at the end of 2025, it might be like, yikes. Okay, maybe it's time to pull back a little bit. All right, so BCHG about ready to break out of this inverse head and shoulders. Again, if I just measure the target here, I took it off before because I wasn't entirely sure if this was actually going to happen or not, but it does appear that it's going to. The target's roughly about just shy of $10. So support here, basically 540 to 585. If you missed your chance to load the boat, well, I don't know what to tell you. There is other cryptos you can look at buying. So a lot of the miners are still pretty cheap, actually, and even some of these trusts and native cryptos. So 1030 to 1270 here. And then we got roughly about 18 to 20, and then you have 24. And BCHG's all-time high is $60 as of currently. So we got 103%, 213%, and roughly about 272% respectively. And keep in mind, I'm just giving you guys local levels here. Okay, we go over the actual maximum blow off top kind of targets in separate videos known as the max profit fib retracements. If you guys don't know what those are, then keep a lookout for them. We'll probably be doing another one here eventually soon. Okay, so HZEN, you got 350 to 410 at support. This is another good example of if you think you're too late to BCHG, maybe HZEN would be a better pick because, again, it has not taken off yet. It's still in support. You can see this is a very heavily traded zone. But, of course, it's your money. You can choose to buy these things with it or not. I really don't care personally. So $6.90 to $8, and then you have the next level up here, roughly about $11.30 to $12.30. And again, we haven't talked about that upper level before, but if these things are going to start breaking out, you guys are probably going to want to know this. So 126, 197, roughly about 220, 245%. ETCG still kind of sitting within this descending triangle. Again, this is a bearish pattern, especially in a downtrend. It's always bearish, but we do have some bullish potential indications down here, so that's something to keep in mind. So buy zone here is kind of between this roughly about, I'd say, $7.50 to $10. Then you got your targets up here at 13.30, 16, 17, 16, and 20 respectively. So if I just give you guys the maximum moves here, 113%, and then roughly about 170%. And I believe ETCG's previous all-time high was $95, so quite a bit higher than current price. Okay, ETH, also same thing, looking very bullish down here, even though the price is stuck in between these two areas. So 1830 as support, then you got roughly about 2340 and 28, and then you have 4750 for that cup and handle target. So 56 and 159% respectively. And I did hear somebody say that there's a certain timeline that this needs to play out in. I'm actually going to prove that that's not true. And give me just a second. I'll pop over here to gold. I'm sure you guys already know where I'm going with this because we do talk about this in our macro videos. Gold is insanely expensive right now. I would not buy gold personally. That's just me because it's ridiculously expensive and overbought. On the monthly time frame, it is overbought, which is crazy. NVIDIA is a different story. I know that one's overbought on the monthly too, but NVIDIA has a use case, okay? We're talking about the future of AI here, whereas gold is more of a fear play. So in my opinion, platinum and palladium are cheaper, but the point I want to make here is not about all that. The point I want to make here is the cup and handle. So you have a big cup and a handle. So if I just draw the handle here, you can see the handle there, and of course the target would basically be the measurement from the neckline to the bottom of the cup, and then you measure that from the breakout point, which is right here, and that's where you come up with your target, which is just shy of 3,000. Okay, do I think it's going to hit 3,000? Well, it looks like it's going to, but personally, I don't think it's going to happen. But regardless, you can see this cut pattern here played out over the course of an entire decade. Okay, so I don't know what that person meant by, oh, well, it has to play out with a certain timeline. Well, gold took an entire 10 years to play out, and it did play out. So I don't know. You tell me. All right, so GBAT, nice pop-off support here. We're getting ready to have the triple golden cross convergence. So golden cross here, and once the price gets above the EMAs, we will get the golden cross to the upside on the EMAs as well. So 432 to 514 support, 770 to kind of that $10 area is resistance, and then 32 at the all-time highs up there. That's a very bullish looking candle, by the way, that we're currently seeing. We'll see how this progresses throughout the week. 131%, 655% move. Fill G, file G, whatever you want to call it. You can see the green histogram piece popping up there, so can't really say much about that other than it's turning green. It's taken months to play out. That's a big deal. So 36 to 43 here at support, all-time highs, $400. Again, we are very bullish on Filecoin. We have a pretty large holding of the underlying, so roughly about 1,000% gain here. GLIV, let's see, $12 to $15.25, and then you got your all-time high up there at 80. I mean, this one's sitting perfectly on support. If you guys choose to buy it here or not buy it here, that's up to you. So 545% move. Okay, G-Link. So it looked like we had a pump fake, kind of like last time. So tried to sell down below, got sucked back up immediately. That does happen sometimes on a bear trap, which is exactly what we saw here. So 39 to 46 at support. Then you have 67 to 85 resistance, and then the all-time high up there at 220, which I think it's probably going to smash the all-time high because, again, Chainlink is very popular. So 93%, 420% move. Okay, GSOL. Support still between 300 to 355, and then you have that all-time high up there at 580. So roughly about a 95% move on GSOL, GXLM. I would say anywhere between 1415 to 2350, probably a good area to buy. Again, it has tested these levels multiple times, so these have all been somewhat decent buying points throughout time, as you can see back here. So resistance 53 to 58-ish, and then 69 is going to be that swing high up there. All right, so 305%, 382% move. Mana. This one's still sitting relatively flat. You can see it kind of sat at the same area before rocketing to the upside. So support here 10, I'd say about 10, 1015, somewhere in there. 1770 to about, 2070 is going to be the next target, and then 70 is the all-time highs. Okay, so we're looking at roughly about 77 and 550% respectively. And last but not least, Zcash. All right, so once again, $3.25 to $5.10. Somewhere in there is going to be a good price to buy, in my opinion. I mean, it's been getting wedged in between these two white lines for a very long time now. So that, in my opinion, is the ideal price to buy. The next level below that, which I really highly doubt it's going to go back to, because that is the bear market lows. Usually when these things come off the bear market lows, they don't return back to them until the bear market. That's not always the case, but I would say probably about 80 to 90% of the time that is the case. So those levels are going to be roughly about 150 to 284. So we got 790 to 960 here. And then you have about 10 and a quarter up there, that swing high. Now giving you guys the higher level here, roughly about 14, I say 1450 to 17 and a quarter, because again, do keep in mind that Bitcoin is probably going to break out any day now. Okay. And just understand, when Bitcoin tops out, money will flow from Bitcoin two altcoins. It's happened literally every single cycle. That's when these things are going to pop off. So you're probably going to want to know these levels ahead of time if you have money in these positions. So 195% move here and 413%. All right, so hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.